Hello and welcome to another Demon 212 360 review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Crackdown, which if you've never played it before, then I suppose the best way to describe it is kind of like a GTA, only you're the good guys, you're the cops and that. Only, I personally think it's far better than any GTA game, but that's only because I'm personally not a fan of the GTA series. But it's one of those, each unto their own. So anyway, at the start there's a few things that you can do if you've got the DLC and that, and there's fewer things if you haven't got the DLC. The options are basic and you can view controls and that and display settings. The agency info is just achievements and leaderboards until you go into the game, and then you can view your map and your gang dossier. Then you've got campaign, you've got time trials to play where you have to kill the gang bosses faster than you normally would. The whole point is about speed. You've got street racing, which I personally hate because the driving controls on the game are awful. You've got keys to the city, which are just the cheats that you can add, and obviously you can view downloads to get the DLC, which I have got the DLC and I will be mentioning it, but in all honesty the DLC's basic crap and not worth the money, at least as far as I'm concerned. So, when you finally load up and start the city and all that, then you've got basically three areas that you can see and the agency. At the very start of the game you only have the agency because the whole point is you're at the start. I've went a little further in with all the skills and that to show off the full agent and to be able to show off some boss battles and all that are later on, because the first area, Los Muertos, is stupidly easy. You've then got Volk, which is harder, and you've then got Shigen, which is the hardest. And the whole point of the actual game is that you go in, you take over the city and all, because all your agency points have been captured by them, so you have to find these orange beacons of light, which are basically them there. You have to go up to them, you have to push Y on them and take them over. Now, they're a fast way of actually navigating around the city, because once you find one, you can actually just go into it and navigate to another one. However, it does load the game again, it doesn't just take you as an instant transfer, unfortunately. And it's the type of thing that they're not placed in the best locations. I mean, if I go back to the map here, in Volk alone, you can probably see the bottom half of Volk has 4, top half, nothing. So you always have to go to that top half on foot or by car. And it's the type of thing that I really don't understand why they've done that, because it's not as if it makes the game harder, it just makes the game last a little bit longer, and it's just incredibly annoying. So anyway, to explain the whole point about it, it is, as I say, just like a GTA game with running around killing things, only, as I say, you kill the bad guys. You've got a health meter in the top left corner, which you've got a regenerating shield, and then your health regenerates as well. And then you've got 5 symbols under that. Now those 5 symbols will take a little bit of explanation. The top one is agility, it is running speed, it is jump speed. You get your agility up by shooting enemies from a height or by collecting green orbs, which are all over the place. There's literally 500 of them, and you can also get them by collecting the blue orbs, which there's 300 of those. And it does take quite some time to get all 800 orbs. It's something that took me ages, and my brother had to help out as well. We just took turns on watch and that, and it was as mad as it sounds to say, it was probably the most fun I had with the game, because don't get me wrong, it's a good game, but it's got some problems, and just running around collecting all those agility orbs and all the question mark orbs and that, it was just it was fun for some reason. I don't know why, it's not the type of thing that I usually like doing, I suppose, but it was still fun because you have to actually use some thought to find them, because they're all over the place and they're hidden really well. Well, the agility ones, they're not so much hidden well, they're just literally you have to climb the tallest buildings to get them, and it's one of those, if it's a low down agility orb then it's going to be worth barely anything, but if it's a really high up one then it's going to be worth a lot more. So anyway, that's the orbs and agility and all that explained. Underneath that, you've then got driving. When you've only got a 1-star driving, well, 0-star driving I should probably say, it's like the most basic of basic, then the car controls insanely awful. All of them are just awful, it's unbelievable. When you get it up to level 4, then some of them are awful, well, most of them are still awful to be fair, and some of them are half decent and mediocre at best. I absolutely hate the driving on the game, I never like to do it, I'm only doing it now to kind of show it off, and it's just something that I absolutely despise, so let's get out of a car. It does make the agency vehicles though a bit better, because you can actually upgrade those to get weapons on them. And I'll show off a couple of the agency vehicles purely because the DLC as well. You've then got, underneath that, your explosive skill, which the explosives are my favourite part in the game. It's always the one that I get up the fastest, because it's the only thing I ever use, pretty much. I get myself a few grenades, I get myself a good rocket launcher, and then I just go killing everything. Bosses can pretty much take like 2 hits with a rocket launcher if you're good enough, and if your explosive's up enough. And the whole point is, every time it goes up, the blast radius gets bigger. Underneath that, you've then got Strength, which is your punching, your kicks, and by upgrading that, you get more health, because you start the game with 1 bar, and every time you get a star on your Strength bar, then you get a square underneath, which you'll probably be able to see, and that just gives you another health bar. And then finally, you've got your guns, which obviously by shooting enemies, they go up as well. However, the gun system on the game is awful, and it's the reason why I use the rocket launchers, because the weapons themselves aren't awful. There are some really good machine guns that you can kill with. It's the lock-on system. The lock-on decides to lock on to whatever the hell it wants to. If you're looking directly at someone, it can instead lock on to an enemy vehicle far to your left, or right in front of you, but behind the enemy you're actually pointing at. It's something that's really terrible. You're best off not using it and just using your normal aiming. The only problem with that is the speed of your turning is so slow, it's unbelievable. You can't turn your aiming sensitivity up. It's incredibly annoying, and it's why I use rocket launchers, because let's face it, as you can see, I'm missing all over with this machine gun, but something like an explosive, it's pretty hard to miss. So anyway, before I actually show off a boss or anything, I might as well, under controlled circumstances, show off the DLC weapons. You've got a minigun, which takes forever to heat up, but when it does, well, it does this. You've got a harpoon gun, which the harpoon gun's the only reason to get the DLC, because it's fun. It really does stick the enemies or anyone to a surface, and it's just really cool. So let's see if we can aim this cop up. There we go, he's completely stuck to the floor, and you can just have fun with it and stick them in different ways and just basically take the piss out of enemies and friends and stuff by killing them, by sticking their body in numerous places. There's then also an explosive weapon, which is absolutely awful, but I'll still show it off, and I'll also get the good rocket launcher that I actually like as well. So this is the DLC one, and it looks almost like it's going to be a net gun, if you know what I mean, if you've ever seen them, but it's not. It fires rockets just in dodgy ways. The blast radius isn't very good, even with the explosives up full, and it's just rather crap compared to that. So anyway, the supply points, as you might have noticed, are where you go and get your weapons, as well as, well, just transporting the different ones. And the whole point is you get weapons by killing enemies, taking them off the enemies, and then going to the supply point. It stores them, and then you can use them as many times as you like. It's an infinite supply. You can just go there again and again and get the weapons. So anyway, let's move over to a boss.